Good night, stories and rhymes. Little Bo Peep. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and doesn't know where to find them. Leave them alone and they'll come home, wagging their tails behind them. Rock-a-bye, baby. Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bow breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby, cradle and all. I had a little pony. I had a little pony. His name was Dapple Gray. I lent him to a lady to ride a mile away. She whipped him, she slashed him, she rode him through the mire. I would not lend my pony now for all the lady's hire. The Lion and the Unicorn. The lion and the unicorn were fighting for the crown. The lion beat the unicorn all around the town. Some gave them white bread, some gave them brown. Some gave them plum cake and drummed them out of town. Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Dr. Fell. I do not like thee, Dr. Fell. The reason why I cannot tell. But this I know right well. I do not like thee, Dr. Fell. Little Tommy Tittlemouse. Little Tommy Tittlemouse lived in a little house. He caught fishes in other men's ditches. Maurice the Motor Car. Maurice the Motor Car had once been the smartest car on the road. His headlamps shone, his windows sparkled, and his paintwork gleamed. Whether it was an outing to the seaside or picnics in the summer, parties or trips into town in the winter, everyone was always so pleased to see him. But when he began getting rusty and his seats started to sag, Maurice was sold to a man who mended motorbikes. He kept what he called his bits and pieces on the back seat. Then came the day when the man bought a brand new van. "Grandad will be having you, Maurice," he said. "Your gears creak and your engine wheezes, but you won't be going far from now on." Maurice tried hard not to mind too much, but all too soon the old man could no longer drive him around, and he was dumped in the corner of a scrap yard. Poor Maurice! All he could see were old washing machines, worn-out tires, and every sort of rubbish you can think of. There was nothing to do, nobody to talk to. Being out in the rain meant he quickly got rustier than ever. Then his roof started to leak. Surely, old Maurice thought, nobody could hate rain more than me. But he was wrong. Maurice was so miserable, cold and tired, he hardly noticed two little mice paying him a visit. They needed to shelter inside for a very special reason. The two little mice were soon busy, chewing up bits of paper blown in by the wind and tearing strips of rag to weave with some of Maurice's back seat. He didn't mind at all. Maurice guessed that something exciting was about to happen, the way the two mice kept chattering and squeaking to each other. He could hardly believe he had so many new friends all at once. And the mice were not the only ones who decided to make their home with Maurice. The moment sharp-eyed Mrs. Robbins saw the old car, she knew that was where she wanted her nest. With a family of robins singing so sweetly all day, and the lively mice scampering around and playing in their nice little home, Maurice decided he had never been happier. Then, one morning, everything changed. No birds sang, no mice squeaked and chattered. Surely, Maurice told himself, his friends would not have left him so suddenly. But they had. Maurice felt so sad. He was still trying to think what could have happened when he heard a tiny cry coming from the front seat. It sounded just like a tiny kitten, mewing. So that's why the mice and the robins left so suddenly, smiled Maurice to himself, knowing how frightened they would be with a cat around. As for the kittens, it was plain they loved being with Maurice. When they were not playing together outside, he could hear them purring as they slept underneath the steering wheel. The only thing that worried him was the thought of the kittens growing up. Would they leave him then, he wondered. Already they were wandering further and further away. Mother Cat as well. The family to which Maurice had once belonged now seemed so far away. It was a shock to hear footsteps and a voice calling out, "Hey, come here, everybody! See who I found!" "It's Tabitha!" cried a little girl. Maurice could see her stroking Mother Cat's head. "We told you we'd seen her near here, didn't we, Daddy? Robert was sure she'd heard her kittens." "And I was right!" shouted her brother, climbing into Maurice's driving seat. "Lucky she found this old car. Isn't it great, Amy? Honk, honk." Amy was much too busy sounding the horn. Honk, honk. Robert and Amy played for a long time with Maurice. He could tell they did not really want to go home. Not even when their daddy called, "Come along, you two. Tabitha's new family is waiting." "We wouldn't mind having the car too," Maurice heard Robert saying. His daddy laughed. But what was said next, Maurice didn't know. By the next day, he was so sad, he hardly cared what happened to him. "Here's the old banger," said a voice, breaking into Maurice's thoughts. "Engine and gearbox out, right?" "Right," came the reply. "Must be a spare parts job, I reckon." "Spare parts?" echoed Maurice. "Don't say I'm to be broken up." But when his tires were levered off one by one and a crane hauled him high into the air, he knew it must be true. Maurice shut his eyes tight. It seemed nobody wanted him anymore. But when he opened them again, what do you think? There were cheers from the back seat. "Good old Daddy," he heard Robert shout. He knew we needed the car for the adventure playground, Amy. But Amy was busy swinging on one of Maurice's old tires. Old King Cole. Old King Cole was a merry old soul, and a merry old soul was he. He called for his pipe, and he called for his bowl, and he called for his fiddlers 3. Half a pound of tuppenny rice. Half a pound of tuppenny rice. Half a pound of treacle. That's the way the money goes. Pop goes the weasel. Up and down the city road, in and out the eagle. That's the way the money goes. Pop goes the weasel. Rain, rain, go away. Rain, rain, go away. Come back another day. All the children want to play. Rain, rain, go to Spain. Never show your face again. To bed, to bed. To bed, said Sleepyhead. Tarry a while, said Slow. Put on the pan, said Greedy Ann. We'll sup before we go. Starlight, starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might, have the wish I wish tonight. Bedtime. The man in the moon looked out of the moon, looked out of the moon and said, "'Tis time for all children on earth to think about getting to bed." Jack Sprat. Jack Sprat could eat no fat, his wife could eat no lean, and so between them both they licked the platter clean. Jack ate all the lean, Joan ate all the fat. The bone they picked it clean and gave it to the cat. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Tweedledum and Tweedledee agreed to fight a battle, for Tweedledum and Tweedledee had spoiled his nice new rattle. Just then flew by a monstrous crow, as black as a tar barrel, which frightened both the heroes so they quite forgot their battle. Teddy and Baby Bear. It was the day of the Teddy Bears' picnic. Everyone in Bear Village had been busy. The picnic food was ready and the playing fields were marked out ready for the games later on. Teddy was helping Berry Bear to put paper cups and plates on a long wooden table. Soon everyone would be ready for the picnic feast. "You're such a help, Teddy," smiled Teacher Bear as she carried bottles of milk and fruit squash to the table. "Could you do a very special job for me? It really would be a great help." "What sort of job?" asked Teddy. "Well," said Teacher Bear, "my sister's coming to help at the picnic, and we need someone sensible to look after her little bear, Baby Boo." "There they are," cried Teacher Bear before Teddy could answer. "Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Baby Boo." Teddy Bear blinked. He had never seen any bear who looked quite as sweet as Baby Boo. "Now, Baby Boo," Teacher went on, "you play with Teddy while Mummy helps with the picnic. You don't mind, do you?" Baby Boo put a paw to her mouth and shook her head. She did not mind at all. "What a good bear you are," smiled her mummy, patting Baby's furry head. "Just you see she doesn't get dirty," she told Teddy. "That's right," nodded Teacher. "See she doesn't get dirty." Baby Boo smiled up at Teddy and took hold of his paw. He didn't know quite what to do. All his friends seemed to be much too busy to stop and talk, and he couldn't see Mummy or Daddy Bear. "Hey, Teddy," came the voice of Baker Bear. "Like to come and help blow up a few balloons?" "Hear that, Baby Boo?" grinned Teddy. "You won't get dirty if you watch me blow up balloons." But Baby Boo did not seem very interested in balloons. What she wanted was to see what was inside a big flower pot. "No, Baby Boo," cried Teddy Bear. "Don't get yourself dirty." Poor Teddy! He didn't see the tin of whitewash Painter Bear had brought to mark out a game of hopscotch on the grass. How Baby Boo laughed to see Teddy covered with big white blobs. "Here's the cloth," cried Baker Bear. "Let's try and get you clean, Teddy." But Teddy could not stop. Baby Boo was already toddling off towards a big basket of fat, juicy strawberries. "Don't get dirty!" cried Teddy. Splosh! Teddy shut his eyes tight. Then he opened them again. He let out a deep breath. Baby Boo was not at all dirty. He was covered in bright red splodges of strawberries. Baby Boo laughed so much that Billy and Bella Bear came over to see what the joke was. Then they saw Teddy. "What happened?" grinned Billy. He and Bella thought Teddy looked so funny. "It's Baby Boo," growled Teddy. "I'm supposed to make sure that she doesn't get dirty. Teacher Bear is counting on me." "Well, take her to the swings," Bella suggested. "She won't get dirty there." That sounded a good idea to Teddy. Then Baby Boo decided she wanted a drink at the water fountain. "Mind that puddle," warned Teddy Bear. "Don't get yourself dirty." Splash! Baby Boo didn't step into the puddle, but Teddy Bear did. Baby Boo looked down at her clean paws and her clean clothes. Then she looked at Teddy and started laughing again. Baby Boo didn't stop to see how angry Teddy was. She had just seen a big tub of sawdust that Mummy Bear had brought for the lucky dip. It was just inside a big tent, and Baby Boo headed straight for it. "Baby Boo!" Teddy Bear shouted. "Come here!" He dashed into the tent after her. The next thing he knew, there was a shower of sawdust, grass, and earth flying about. The tent fell down around him. He could hear voices outside. "What's happened to the tent? Didn't Teddy Bear go inside?" "Teddy? But I asked him to look after Baby Boo. He was supposed to see she didn't get dirty," said Teacher. "Baby Boo," said Baker Bear. She walked straight past the tent. There was silence. Slowly, very slowly, and with Bears pulling and pushing and prodding him, Teddy Bear crawled out. Nobody knew what to say. "Teddy!" gasped Mommy Bear at last. "What have you been doing?" "I've been looking after Baby Boo," Teddy protested, "making sure she didn't get dirty." "My little Baby Boo," said her mummy. "Look at her. She's kept herself beautifully clean." "Yes, but," began poor Teddy. "You're covered with sawdust and muddy splashes," said Teacher. "And there's sticky strawberries on your fur," said Baby Boo's mummy. "To say nothing of all that whitewash," sighed Mummy Bear. "Oh, Teddy! On the day of the Teddy Bear's picnic, too." "Wait a minute," said Baker Bear. "Teddy did look after Baby, and he made sure she didn't get dirty," added Berry Bear. "And there's no harm done," said Daddy Bear. "Only a bit of cleaning up to do," said Mummy, beginning to smile. "Come along, Teddy." So Teddy was soon enjoying the picnic with his friends. And Baby Boo? Well, she got very dirty. Rub-a-dub-dub. Rub-a-dub-dub. 3 men in a tub. And who do you think they be? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and up they jump all 3. Old Mother Husband. Old Mother Hubbard. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get her poor doggy a bone. But when she got there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor doggy had none. Ladybird, ladybird. Ladybird, ladybird, fly away home. Your house is on fire, your children are gone. All except one, and that's little Anne, and she crept under the warming pan. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread. She whipped them all soundly and sent them to bed. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Cock-a-doodle-doo. My dame has lost her shoe. My master's lost his fiddling stick, and knows not what to do. Higgledy-piggledy, higgledy-piggledy, my black hen, she lays eggs for gentlemen, sometimes 9 and sometimes 10. Higgledy-piggledy, my black hen. Mary had a little lamb. Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, that little lamb was sure to go. It followed her to school one day. That was against the rule. It made the children laugh and play to see a lamb at school. There was a crooked man. There was a crooked man, and he walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence against a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat, which caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a little crooked house.